It's time for Wrestling for the Culture, where we take a look inside to see what the wrestlers of color have been doing this week. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Wrestling for the Culture. I am your host, Brian H. Waters. I'm actually out of town this week. You know, I'm usually recording to you from the Wrestling studios right there in Baltimore, Maryland. But this week, I'm actually doing this show out of Chicago, Illinois, here for the shoot job on business. So guess what? Just because I'm on the shoot job doesn't mean Wrestling for the Culture stops. So before I get into it, make sure you're following the Wrestling Wrealm. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and Podbean. And of course, make sure you are subscribed to the flagship, the money show, the TV show itself, the Wrestling Wrealm, right there on our YouTube channel. So let's get ready to get into this week's Wrestling for the Culture. We saw something we haven't seen from Apollo Crews this week, and that was a win. Apollo Crews getting a win over Jinder Mahal. We also saw Bobby Lashley get a win, this time over Finn Balor. Finally, seemed like Lashley's able to get it done. Lashley, I was happy to see it. I know pretty much you guys should have been too. Also, Nia Jax scores a win over Ember Moon, but the biggest story was Tamina coming out there once again, and everybody wondering what's the deal with those two. Well, guess what? It is official. These two ladies have joined forces, and I said this on last week's episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Who in the world are going to stop them? I don't know, man. You tell me. And then in the main event of Monday Night Raw, we saw new tag team champions crowned as AOP defeated Seth Rollins to win the tag team titles. Yes, I said Seth Rollins. Rollins forced to defend him and Ambrose tag titles by himself. If you've been paying attention, you already know that those two have had their issues. So it was just AOP coming in there picking up the slim pickings. Over on SmackDown, we saw a qualifying match between Rey Mysterio and Andrade Cien Almas, a match many may call a dream match. It was Rey Mysterio picking up the win, earning his way to the SmackDown team for Survivor Series. And then we saw the Usos take on the New Day. Winner would become the captains of the SmackDown tag team matchup. I guess it was it's probably a 12-man tag team. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of tag teams. That's one thing I do know. But the Usos scored the win, and they said there's no SmackDown tag team division without the New Day and the Usos. So the Usos made the New Day their first pick. So let's move on. Evolve 115 to matches for the culture. We saw AR Fox defeat Austin Theory, and then we saw the Street Profits retain their tag team titles, their Evolve tag team titles, when they defeated the Workhorsemen. That show was Evolve 115 taking place in Michigan. And then right down here in the state I'm in Illinois, we saw Evolve 116. And then for the matches for the culture, we saw the Street Profits retaining their tag titles against AR Fox and Leon Ruff, and then Mustafa Ali defeating Darby Allin by a ref stoppage. So good wins for the culture. Let's move on. On his Instagram, Zuka King noted that he retained his APW championship. So congratulations to him for remaining a champion. Then down at, let's see, where we going now? We're going to PWX, where we saw Elijah Evans remain the PWX World Champion. And what may be the big story right here, if you look at the screen, we saw Savannah Evans join the group of Syndicate. So business has certainly went to another level. Speaking of Savannah Evans, this past weekend, she teamed with Owen Knight, and those two earned a victory over Ashton Starr and Zuka King. So congratulations to them. Zuka King, though, he did get a win over Owen Knight. So let's move on. And of course, my buddy Dr. D, the Doctor of Devastation, the original mark of excellence, as he says, he told me, he hit me up and said, B-Dub, I got some news for you. Here's some stuff for the culture this week. So Doc let me know that the MCW has new tag team champions, and they are the Sons of Savagery, Bishop Khan and Malcolm Moses. They beat Guns for Hire to win those tag titles. And then he also let me know that Drolix defeat Ken Dixon. So, you know what I did? I went on Facebook and I said, let me see what's going on over at MCW. And what did I see? Ken Dixon attacking Drolix after it's noted that Dixon has challenged Drolix to a match in December for Drolix's career. A career versus career match. I do not know who's going to win this. I'm going to have to see if I can get a word with Drolix. Maybe get him on the show beforehand. But nonetheless, if you go check out that video, you will see Drolix stuff the head of Ken Dixon right in the toilet, man. Oh my goodness. This may not be for the weak at heart. But this last but certainly not least, we saw a new MCW Women's Champion as Gia Scott becomes the youngest Women's Champion in MCW Pro Wrestling history, defeating the one and only Brittany Blake. So, let's move on. Staying with women's wrestling, the phenomenal Jazz defeated Jocelyn Navarro, and Jocelyn Navarro tweeted, in which Jazz retweeted, when she said, I did not come out with the win last night, but I earned phenomenon _ Jazz's respect. Shout out to Jazz putting the young ladies over. Let's move on to Ring of Honor. Just ended not too far before I recorded this show. Jay Lethal has retained his Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship, where he defeated in what Twitter calls an awesome match against Kenny King. So I gotta find some footage of that, because that sounds like that was a good match. Now, last but certainly not least, let's round this off. As you know, BWA, Black Wrestling Alliance, which you can follow them on Instagram, goes ahead and presents the N News section. So let's get started. We saw Willie Mack win the Crash Lucha Heavyweight Championship. Sugar Dunkerton winning the Reckless Intent Hardcore Championship, a championship based out of Scotland. Jason Castle wins the Georgia Premier Wrestling Southern States Heavyweight Championship. Trisha Adora beats the Big Swole Ariel Monroe and LAX's Diamante to win the first ever Generation Championship Wrestling Women's Championship. Then we saw David Ali become the new NCW Junior Heavyweight Champion, his second time winning that title. Staying in NCW, Ashton Starr is the new NCW Heavyweight Champion. And then 1% Jarrell Nelson and Royal Isaac become the Best of the West Tag Team Champions. And then the Pitbull Omega captures the HPW Tri-State Championship. And last but certainly not least, James Miranda and Mr. Everything become the Ring Wars of Carolina Tag Team Champions. So that is and new presented by BWA. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this week's Wrestling for the Culture. Make sure you are following the Wrestling Realm. Make sure you have subscribed to the podcast. And as I said, as always, if you have any submissions, can't do it all by myself. I try to. I ain't gonna lie, it's difficult. I search the internet over and over again to see what are the black professional wrestlers, the wrestlers of color, what are they doing? So unfortunately, I'm not able to find everything. I see some stuff, but I don't. So feel free to send it in. I definitely do not want to discredit anybody. So send in your stuff. Let me know when you guys win a match. Go ahead, celebrate on Instagram. Shoot me a DM at Brian H. Waters. Shoot me a email at wrestlingrealm@gmail.com. So, ladies and gentlemen, until the next time, I'm Brian H. Waters. So long, everybody.